Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Around the Table GTA. I think there's something up with my mic because the volume has been kind of strange, but it is what it is. I know there's been gaps, and apologizing really doesn't make any difference because the people who are tuning in, and the people who are tuning in the future won't understand the concept of all of these gaps. Well, they'll understand in the sense that life has its ups and downs, but they won't understand because they'll be able to binge it. Similar to what I've been dealing with in general, recently my attention has been really split, and it's gone me to come up with an episode idea. But before we even get into that episode detail or this episode's detail, I did drop another episode, but I just haven't uploaded it. So I'm trying to get into the habit of when I'm finishing, I edit real quick. If I do edit, this one probably won't get an edit, and I'll just upload it as soon as possible or have it pre made because why am I making these episodes and not uploading them? It doesn't really make sense, but at the same time, I've been thinking about going to a doctor to see if I have like ADHD or something in the spectrum because there's a lot of things that I've been doing and it's been a lack of focus or just really mismatched order. And you could also say that it's due to stress or the stresses in life. But this episode, we're going to be talking about the danger sense or understanding when you're in danger, when things aren't right, and being able to get yourself out of a defensive form of that, and also being able to notice it when you are in a much more comfortable scenario. I've had a crazy summer, and I know this is not summertime. We're heading closer to my birthday, closer to the official winter time. Have to dig through the files for the winter theme just for you guys to hear that, to switch it up, to keep the mindset fresh so that, you know, even when you start listening to the podcast, you're getting a different vibe. And that's the point, changing your mindset, changing it in generally, and kind of just seeing things in a different perspective. And I think that's another thing with my focus where it just splits off like that because I'm tuning into different types of understanding and trying to understand how that came apart or even like came into fruition. So it's definitely been interesting, especially since like I'll just jump into work and then get back into the same topic where I've been in so many different areas. And when you're in management, when you're dealing with people, especially when you're in different environments constantly, you have to continuously adapt. And if you're not on your toes, you'll notice that one style won't work across the board, right? You could try it, but you always want to be the most efficient that you can, right? And recently, there's just been a hard focus on stability and also rest, and that's been making things wild because I've been so stressed that after work, all I want to do is enjoy myself to the point where I'm like staying up till 6:30 just trying to enjoy myself because no matter how much sleep I get, I'm just tired. So it's been throwing off my senses in general. So not divulging into what happened last summer, but even recently I was on the bus and someone saw me and they just snuck up on me. And I'm the type of person, I don't get scared too often. I didn't get scared, but I was very shocked that I had no sense, or I don't want to say no sense, but like I didn't feel like something was off. And it's crazy how a lack of sleep and just being overstimulated could throw off base senses, right? So for me, I'm going on vacation very soon and I want to relax so I could kind of like reset the body. I've been doing so much to try to progress in different aspects. I've been hard focusing on certain video games and different goals in those games, as well as goals in work. But and even like the gym, I'm still in the gym, so I've been hard focused on certain things. But with the hard focus, I've kind of dulled certain senses, and just that instance today helped me realize how much danger I'm in. And I don't want to say that oh no, people are out to get me or whatever, but there are times where people are out to get you, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, right? We need to take the time to hone in on our danger sense. And, talking with certain people over the past couple of weeks, they've also noticed certain things and certain patterns that usually in a more calm state I'd be able to notice, or you'd be able to notice, where, like, let's say a friend's acting strange. It could be a danger thing where there's bad news, or they're lying to you about something, or they could be hiding something as a surprise. You have to be able to navigate that energy, that kind of will that they have, and be able to interpret it, especially if you've known someone for long. But being a person who's grown up in crazy scenarios and semi sketchy areas, my danger sense for the most part is good. Like, when you hear those stories of people saying they're getting robbed outside, I'm not the type of person who is completely sealed off when walking. You have to be alert, but with social media, with new high tech headphones, earbuds, AirPods, whatever you want to say, these things like completely isolate sound, so you're hearing only what's inside your phone or whatever you're using to get the sound from. And it's pushing people kind of out of the normal spectrum of nature, and I could even say reality to a sense. Like, I remember recently we were driving and someone was holding up the whole line at the stop sign because they were staring at their phone. They didn't realize it was a green light for like 20 seconds. And it was insane how people get super sucked into these things. And that's while driving. Can you imagine that? And you're stuck behind and people have to honk. But we need to be aware of what's in store and what may be coming at us, right? When our danger sense is off, it's hard to see that people may be planning against you, or even trying to put you in a situation where you're none the wiser, right? When you're dealing with any type of politics, where it's school politics, work politics, friends politics, or even in a debate, you need to know how to maneuver so that you could win or you'll come victorious, right? Even if you know that you're going to lose, you have to be able to justify how you got into that position and be able to bounce back. The best way to destroy an opponent is completely, entirely let them know that there's no chance of having things come back. If you continuously fight with someone, like, I would say I'm the type of person, like, you don't want to continuously fight me, because the more that I have the experience against you, the easier it is for me, right? That's the type of person I've always been, especially whether it's like card games, whether it's fighting games, whether it's anything competitive. I've always naturally been a competitive person, despite not really showing that in a lot of aspects these days. But when I see competition and I make it a competition personally or mentally, the whole battleground changes, because I am trying to win. Usually I have playful arguments with people, and for me, I always surprise people because I'll say something that's totally out of pocket, but it's correct. So it kind of throws people off guard. I just know how to throw people off guard, and I think it's an acquired skill, or it could just be dealing with the danger sense, or knowing how to just calm a situation in different ways, or to let someone realize that this is a weird situation and how did we even get here in the first place. Recently I had a argument about a word with someone and there was a back and forth, and through their own words I used their argument against them, and it made me win, right? Because they stated certain stuff, whether or not it's factual after the fact that I quoted them in their argument puts them at a loss, right? And it is semantics, but if you're arguing semantics and the semantics puts you at an end, it's game over, right? And that's the problem with certain things, especially if you're in a situation. You can't really argue semantics, but through semantics, if you have something solid, it helps you, it helps your case, and it helps whatever you're battling. When you are in or even channeling that danger sense, you become more aware of the potential threat of certain things. And in that time, whether you're fatigued, whether you are completely out of it, whether you're in a good or a bad mood, your brain starts changing. So, how do you acquire this? And that's probably what some people are talking about or thinking about after hearing this. Like, what is this guy even talking about? What I'm saying is it's kind of just like your gut feeling to an extent, but I'm characterizing as a dangerous sense because you are in a situation where you don't know what might happen, right? So how do you grow with this? How do you grow into this? How do you develop? How do you prosper and heighten your danger sense? Unfortunately, or fortunately for some people, you have to expose yourself to different types of threats, right? And what I mean by that is, what's something that you're uncomfortable with? And can you put yourself in an uncomfortable situation where you won't feel horrible if you're in a losing situation, right? Let's say that you have a problem speaking in front of crowds. How do you get yourself better at that? You could practice with a smaller group of people. You could take a course on how to do it. You could join something like Toastmasters. I know someone who's in Toastmasters. It's kind of like a thing where people practice and do all of these things, and it forces you into situations where you have to highlight yourself. So if you're someone who's kind of like introverted, then it bothers you. Like for me, I'm a weird hybrid. My typing is the most introverted extrovert, right? But I do have a lot of introverted tendencies. But if you put me in front of a giant crowd, I can't speak in front of a giant crowd because I've been slowly exposed to it. I've had situations where I've had to talk to 100 people daily about different things like safety and what needs to get done, and with little to no nervous tics or freaking out. And that's me exposing myself little with a growing team to get to 100 people. If you're scared of the dark or whatever, you have to slowly put yourself in situations. And I think the best part with something like that, I love being scared, but I don't get scared too easily. You know, pick up a horror game and have noise canceling headphones and just go in, go deep, and turn off the lights and put yourself where you have the safety net of just taking off the headphones and you're in the security of your own home or wherever you're doing this, or just slowly get into creepy content, and it'll help you grow. At the end of the day, our danger sense is there for us to be able to combat whatever we are dealing with at the time and to grow from that. a lot of us, especially in this age, we have the age of like accepting and living with our faults or whatever. And I'm not saying you have to conquer every battle that you've had with yourself, right? Like, it's strange. Like today, I told someone I like being in awkward situations, and it was funny because they were kind of flabbergasted at what I said or the action that I took, right? Because it reminded me of us. I'll tell you guys a story. I was going to the club. This was like a while ago. I was going to a club, and the security lady, she was way too handsy, right? Like, if I was dealing with someone at the time and they saw what the security chick did to me, they would have got really mad. But like when she was like patting me down, I was like, whoa, what's going on over here, right? And it changed the whole scenario of it, where I was getting like pat down crazily to, hey, I'm walking in with a gun and someone can't even tell because they felt insecure about the situation. Ultimately, what I'm taking away from this is any situation could come into your control as long as you understand the danger sense and the danger sense for yourself, but as well as other people. If you are not a threat to someone, they might try to manipulate that fact because they have that perception in your head. But if you could stand your ground, or if you could find something that they're uncomfortable with, that shifts the power of the conversation, of the interaction, of everything, right? Whether you are nice, whether you are scared, whether you are mean, it doesn't matter what you truly are at the core. It's how you're perceived at the moment. And that's how you keep a mental state above being scared or nervous or anxious. And it's controlling your sense of what is dangerous and what's not dangerous. But at the same time, we need to be able to remove ourselves from whatever we're dealing with currently in society, because that's how the modern day is at the moment. But to truly advance, to be ahead of the game, to be where you're thinking outside of the box, you have to implement certain things to not only protect yourself, but also enable yourself to be what's needed at that time, right? I know this kind of sounds weird or very, I don't want to say it's vague or even like profound, but it's having a mindset to change thing. Like recently, I have a friend who switched jobs, and they were talking about using ChatGPT to interview prep, right? And I'm going into interviews because when you're in an interview, you're showing a persona of yourself saying that I'm the best candidate, pick me. And there is that danger sense because you have to put your best foot forward. You know, that's why you have to dress to impress. You got to put yourself into the situation, and you have to be able to be luxurious in a sense. I just wanted to use the word luxurious, but luxurious in the sense where it's like, wow, how am I not going to choose this person? They're amazing. That's how you're trying to come off as. Or you have to oversell yourself to an extent. And it's so weird because like when you're under the pressure, I'm a person sometimes under pressure, I might answer oddly, despite being very dedicated to whatever I'm doing or understanding it to a level that exceeds a majority of people. But it's the different types of pressure that could throw me off or could throw other people off. So just to wrap things up, because this is 20 minutes or almost 20 minutes, prepare yourself for your danger self or danger sense. Put yourself in scenarios where you're uncomfortably uncomfortable, but safe enough to be able to expose yourself to the things that you're not comfortable with. Make sure that you could control a narrative, whether it's about you or about someone else. Practice speech and debating with others who may not agree with you. The more information you have, the better you could become at whatever you're trying to portray yourself as. So take your time, put yourself in scenarios, and grow. Because at the end of the day, all there is when it comes to others is the perception of you, and you're the one who controls that. Either way, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Take care.